Hi, I'm Dr. Michelle Pedicola of Second Chance Secrets and Secrets of Life and Death. I empower smart men and women to reinvent themselves after a loss, divorce, or a major life challenge. And haven't we been going through a major life challenge in the last 10 months over since we've stopped being able to meet with each other? This is a huge social experiment, and if you're a little tired of it, I understand. If you're feeling a little frustrated, if you're really feeling like sometimes screaming because either you're isolated or you have more people in your household than you had before, and you're wondering when it's going to end. And aren't you kind of getting tired of Zoom calls? Although, thank goodness we do have Zoom calls. Thank goodness we can really reach out to each other. I mean, can you imagine what it would be like 10 months of not seeing anybody? I have a friend who she hasn't had a hug from anybody in 10 months. She can't see her brother, her sister, and brother in law because they're very vulnerable. They're older. And so who does she get to see? She drives one of those Uber lifts, and she wears this big mask, and we're all, like protecting, and we go outside in the streets and everybody's wearing masks. And it's hard. It's hard. So maybe you're waiting for it to be over and you're hoping this vaccine is going to change everything. What I want to talk about today is a different approach. It's embrace what is right now and find a different way of managing it, of handling it. So, what do I mean? I'm going to be doing a series on this topic of how can you create a wonderful life now? How can you flow with this? Because we have no idea whether this is going to end or not. I mean, this may be the beginning of many, many viruses and many new changes, shifts in the world. You may have caught my Facebook Live on the Aquarian Age. The Aquarian Age is now, and things are changing rapidly. And we are never going to go back to where we were before. It's never going to be the way it was 10 months ago. But that's exciting because we are moving into a new adventure. Which reminds me of what I want to share with you today. And that is when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling frustrated, I remind myself of a quote that my yoga teacher gave to me many years ago when I first moved to California. He said, "You are a spiritual being." He's Indian. "Having a human adventure." Oh, a spiritual being having a human adventure. I get it. For me, that was like this huge release, this huge relief that it's just an adventure, and this too shall pass. That we are here temporarily. And you know what? We don't have any time to lose. Let's make the most of this precious time that we have here. So, how do we do that? Well, number one key, get curious. What are you learning right now? I was just on the phone with a dear friend who's actually, she and her boyfriend got COVID. And she's talking about being so exhausted. And I think she was a little discouraged. Of course, I came on gangbusters because I'm Aquarian and I am very high energy. Sorry about that, but you know what? I'm not. That's who I am. And I was telling her all these cool things, that these illuminations, these realizations. Part of being Aquarius, which by the way I am, I'm born under the sign of Aquarius, is about connecting to the mind, the higher mind. Yes, also Aquarians love science, Aquarians love data, Aquarians love proof, but we also like to tap into that higher mind, that intuition. And since the turn of the year, since December, I have been getting downloads in waves. And I believe that that's part of what's going on right now. So the first thing is to get curious and to open to those messages from the higher mind, from source, from whatever you want to call it, the brilliance that's out there, the Akashic records, because we are getting messages continuously on what we need to do now, not 10 months from now, not when the vaccine works, which, by the way, hello, viruses mutate. They don't stay the same. So why don't we learn to stop fighting things and become curious? So that's the first number one thing. The other thing, of course, is that you are a spiritual being on a human adventure. I want to say a little bit more about that because part of being on this human adventure is residing in these human bodies. And my favorite quote from me is, and the body has its own agenda. So as a spiritual being, you need to learn and work around and work with your body so that you can fulfill your soul's code, your soul's purpose, why you're here. And this is the only game in town. This is your body, and you have to make the most of it. That means taking good care of it. That means listening to it. That means recognizing when it's afraid and how to change its fear. So, because of something that happened to me many, many, many years ago when I was like 2 years old, I wake up in the morning sometimes feeling panicked. And because my mind likes to help out, and because human beings are meaning seeking creatures, my mind will come up with a whole bunch of reasons why I'm in panic. Most of them probably not even true. It's just a habit. It's a biological habit that I wake up sometimes in a state of panic. And I remember, one, you are a spiritual being having a human adventure. And that, oh, right, I don't have to believe all that chatter that my brain is telling me. And two, what is number two? I don't have to believe all the things the mind is telling me. And that whatever I'm experiencing right now will pass. And three, because of the coaching work that I do, I help people to overcome their emotional challenges around life changes. I help them to work with their bodies. One of the first things that I teach my clients is how to release the emotions that get triggered by change, that get triggered by the challenges that you're going through right now, to release that. And the other part, so there's the body and the body's response. And by the way, let's have some major respect for the body because the body has its little fingers on an amazing chemistry lab that can knock you to your knees. If you've ever been angry, you know what I'm talking about. That when those chemicals surge into your body, it's really hard to rein that horse, pull it back. It's like like a 2-ton gorilla pulling at your little flimsy leash. You need to work with that. So one of the things I teach my clients is how to release that emotion. Now I learned how to release emotions when I was working with hospice with people who were struggling with grief and loss. And here's the thing, we do not teach our people, ourselves, how to release emotions. We teach ourselves mostly how to tamp it down, how to repress our emotions, which only sends it into the cells underground where it will either blow up unexpectedly or it will actually cause physical damage. So the first step is to work with your body, help your body release the emotions. And the other thing is to work with the mind. So the body is made of the biology and then the biography. What have been your life experiences? And what are the thoughts and what are the beliefs that you're telling yourself? And how are they working for you? Are you uplifted? Are you excited? Are you happy about the way in which you're living your life? Or do you feel frustrated? Do you feel despairing? Do you feel cheated, victimized, any of these thoughts and beliefs will leave you in a pretty bad place. So you need to work on the mind. And this is another one that's really can be really, really difficult. A lot of it's subconscious. A lot of it you don't even realize. It takes practice to become aware of your thoughts, to become not only aware, but to know how to shift out of those thoughts. That's why I'm a spiritual being having a human adventure. Now, maybe, I doubt it, but some of you may question that. You believe that life is random, that there is no spirit, that when you die, you die. Now, I think most of the people that follow me do not believe that. You're right with me. But if you do believe that, by the way, there's an author, his name is Antonio Damasio. He wrote this book, Finding Spinoza. I don't recommend it. It's really, really dense and hard to read. But he spends half of the book trying to explain how having consciousness and self-awareness does not prove that we're spiritual beings. And then the last quarter of the book, or maybe the eighth of the book, he tells us that we actually do better physically if we do believe that we're spiritual beings. If we believe that there's something bigger than ourselves, that it is soothing and it is calming. And here's the thing. When you get triggered, when you get upset, when you feel frustrated, when you feel like fighting back, you are operating from the lower brainstem. This is Aquarian. We love science. And the lower brainstem is all instinctual and reactive. It is not accessing your higher mind or even your cerebral cortex. It bypasses all of them. And all it wants to do is make sure that you are safe and loved and cared for and safe. And you need to be safe. Nothing should interfere with your safety. And that's the lower brainstem. Be safe. So you need to get out of that lower brainstem. And how do you do that? So that's part of the work I do, is figuring out what are the best ways to do that. How can you do that? How do you do that? And my angels, my guidance council, it gives me lovely experiences all the time to help me to dissect and interpret and define and identify exactly the processes by which we can get out of those thought patterns, get out of that misery, and get into living a wonderful life. That's all I have for today. I hope you found this enjoyable. Would love you to go ahead and post in the response section and say what you think about what I've shared today. And come back. I'm going to be sharing more of this. I'm really excited. I'm in the process of writing a book. Haven't quite figured out the name of it, whether it's Time for a Wonderful Life or it's The Body Has Its Own Agenda. But be prepared for more downloads. Love you all. Have a brilliant day, and bye for now.